morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular podcast, Corporate Beyond Story. As always with you is me, Keb. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we have Kolaj.
Dobrano. Good morning, everyone.
Wow, what an energy. This is what happens when you have tiny little baby, probably getting you or waking you up numerous times during the night. Nope, okay. Where
Probably
did you
that's
get
why
the
I have the
energy?
energy. That's probably why I got the energy, because there was no waking up during the night.
Oh.
Congratulations on the full night sleep.
Anywho, do we have any fun facts?
I do have one. So, what year it is for Ethiopia?
Now, if you would ask
23?
me about Thailand, I know they have very strange number of counting of a year, but Ethiopia,
I don't know what calendar they use.
me neither.
So they are 7 years behind us. So it's 2015.
What?
Yep. And in September 12th, it's going to be 2016. And it's because Adam and Eve spent 7 years in the Eden, in the garden. So they're subtracting that from the actual year currently we have, because it's like 7 years was there. So we are postponing it.
Is Christianity or this
Yep.
religion?
Yep. But just,
Okay.
postponed a bit.
But that's not fair, because where the rest of the world will hate the 2020 when the COVID happened, and they will go like, what 2020? We didn't even had it yet. Like, it's like, hello.
Maybe it's going to wait for them, It's going to hit
So
them
it will
in a
happen in
few
the
years.
future.
So they are living the past.
Wow.
They
If you
know
want to
what's
go
going
there,
to happen.
truly. Yeah.
But when you double check quickly, Thailand, they live in the future. So
Oh.
it's like, you want to know what happens? Go and ask the Thailand people what's going to happen. Every time I watch the series, it's like, why is this like this heat? What is that? Interesting fact. Anyway, last couple of times, we were talking still the topic business trip. And today is the last episode of it. And we want to deep dive into taking care of the visitors. And this time, Sir Collage has prepared something for us.
The thing I want to focus on is that when you're in the business world, in the corporate worlds, and you have visits coming, you probably observed that you have various feelings towards those visitors. That you
don't say.
That you may have a really warm, welcoming days or moods when it comes to some visitors, and then you might have feelings of sort of, why the hell am I even bothering sort of feelings. Can you recall this spectrum?
They were like, why do they put the burden on me? And another were like, oh, finally we will meet each other, or we will meet each other again. Like, I was in XY country and now they will see ours, and it's like a joyful thing. So yeah, I remember both.
Wow. Baruch has it more lighter. Mine one was like, I want to punch that person. And of course, the opposite was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to hug you.
So the way how you can look on this is that there is a scale, and how you are feeling towards the person is somewhere on this scale. So on one side of the scale, you have people who you are really close to, and they are really, really competent. So they have the skill. You have they're probably your client or really close collaborators who you are in touch on a daily basis. They have a huge impact on your work. on your job, on the performance itself, of how the project is delivered, and you feel very empathized and tied towards them. So you feel really friendly towards them. And this is one of the best business trips when these people come, because it's easy to organize. Like it's somehow, you find a person like, finally, yay, they are here, great. So that's the feeling. And then on the opposite scale, it's person who you feel totally distant from. So there is no sort of a connection or friendliness, rather more of a, it could be sort of a disgust. You don't like that person, you hate them, something like that. Plus, there is a low competence, so there is not really much of an impact towards you. So there is low competence, so lack of collaboration. You don't get in touch with them at all. They have no impact over your work whatsoever. So there is a huge distance when it comes to that. And when these people come, it's usually like you try to even avoid them, not to take care of it whatsoever. And then the funny part is in the middle, when somebody is really close to you, but they are not really competent. So you do feel some sort of friendliness. It's still good because there is some sort of a touch with them, but there is no work related. So you probably don't even see them throughout the whole day. Or the misalignment, when there is a high competence but low warmth. So they might have an impact, but you don't really like them. And that's the fuzzy part around that as well. Like, so how to avoid it. So let's go step by step. I would like to know what you've done with your visits in each of those sort of a category. So let's go with let's go with the easiest ones. And that's probably the colleagues when the visitors came and they were really close to you and you collaborated a lot. You had a lot in common, a lot to do. So what are some of your tips and hints for when visits like this is coming? What would you do with a colleague like that?
And now I'm wondering if our listeners are wondering whether I literally punched the person.
We will get to that. Stay tuned.
So one of the nice ones that I felt, there was this high competence and high, was it empathy? Relationship?
Yeah, relationship worked. Okay. Yeah, basically.
So it was one of the global tech leads coming with manager, and so that was awesome. I mean, we worked with them for a long time, for years, and we worked close. We worked on the same business, of course, and I mean, it was really like meeting old friends. Like with doing business in between, dinners.
So as you're saying, it was easy to collaborate. You were eager to collaborate. You even went for dinners with no really like overthinking it. You went for that and even discussed business there, or like had a really close connection.
Well, there was forethinking. Of course, you need to plan a dinner for, what was it, like 6 people, right? But still, it wasn't a hassle. It was something we wanted to do. It's not something that somebody else asked me to do.
Mm-hmm. Kat, you have something similar? Some sort of similar story or not?
It's literally, I just, even now when I'm recalling the stories, I just feel overwhelmed. Like, as soon as the person literally landed in the office, sort of you just jump and you hug them, and because sometimes really you create such a strong relationship that it's not even like you're meeting your colleague or even a manager, but it's really more of a friend, and you have the privilege to work together. So the feeling is super overwhelming, and you don't feel any burden, and you just want to utilize those 3 days or how long they're gonna stay just to be with them, to take literally the advantage of it, just to spend the time face to face with that person. And I had numerous of those.
And if you're not watching us on YouTube, we are both smiling with Kat. So.
Okay, so let's cherish these memories and let's keep them, because we are going to the opposite direction.
Oh.
Yeah. So
we should go more first the neutral, and then the
Okay. So we go to the more of a neutral part. So let's think of a visitor who wasn't that close to you. So there could have been some sort of a manager or a colleague which is not directly impacting you or directly working with you. So there is not a huge relationship, not this big warmth, but rather cold behavior or colder relationship. But they are very, very competent. So it means they have a huge impact towards you. Can you recall such visit?
Yes. Again, numerous of them. Yeah, I can even recall the feeling. So I literally didn't mind to go for dinner with them, as an example. I didn't feel it as a burden. And we, as a team, we redistributed the days. So it wasn't the same group taking care of the visitors every day, but we redistributed. But I was thinking that could be my opportunity one day. You never know. But I didn't feel any burden or emotion. I just really took it. That's a business trip. It's part of my job. Okay, I'll do it. Not a problem.
Baruch, what about you?
Yeah, a similar thing like Kat, and that usually happens with, for example, it's strange, like it's managers sometimes, like someone higher than you in hierarchy that you have respect for, but at the same time, like they are they're in different place on the corporate ladder, and you just cannot be friends with them, so you kind of keep this distance, but also because of this respect, you just, you want to take care of them. You don't go really overboard as in the first case that we discussed, but you still want to make sure that they are taken care of.
Sometimes I feel like this is the category of visual business trip when you need to do some sort of a program for them, but you don't really. But some of the people go really, really like, okay, let's pamper them, let's create them a sort of a program because they have this high competence whatsoever, so they can make us visible globally or somewhere else, and we need to leave a good impact, a good track, so they remember us in a good line. Because later on,
impressions,
making impressions, like Kat said, maybe in the future there will be the opportunity, so we want them to remember us. Okay, what about another sort of a category when there is high relationship, so high warmth, you really feel close to this person, but the competence is low, so they are not working with you anymore on the same task or on the same job. They're probably different projects, they are different departments whatsoever. What happens when such a visit comes? What are some sort of, how does it work? Can you remember a story like that?
I actually remember when I was in China and I have met a person we used to work. And it was like, oh my God, how come you're on the same business trip in the same country, in the same city? And then we immediately literally exchanged numbers and we said, okay, in the evening, let's go for a drink because, dude, I want to just speak to you. And we used that as an opportunity and we went for like drink. Of course, he had to meet his team. So we literally met like 10 p.m. or so and just sat together for like hour and a half and just talked and catch up with stuff. So yeah, it was like a pleasant surprise. And we ended the whole tough day with just drinking and just talking.
It's similar. I mean, it wasn't visitors. We were actually the visitors when we went to Korea, Kat, and we met the two colleagues, right? I honestly have no business with them. I even have no relationship with them, but Kat has relationship with them, right? And we just met them out of, well, it was during our vacation and it was their end of their business day. So I honestly see this one more like ending up in some kind of like out of business hours activities rather than actually being a business trip, actual business trip. So I don't know if you have this kind of like business trip experience, Kat, but I myself, it's like in this category, I haven't actually. experience anything like this?
So if I just finish what Baruch just started, so I have a very, I don't know if it's a strange personality of mine, but I am very relationship-oriented person. And whether I am on a business trip or I am on a vacation, and if I go to a certain destination, I usually reach out to my colleagues and I ask them, do we have someone that we collaborate with? And it can be through my colleague, doesn't have to be through me. And if they say yes, then I'll try to sort of create the opportunity, even if it's just for coffee, nothing else, just to meet them face to face and create sort of like, finally they can put into like a physical thing, something to touch, right? That, wow, I work with these people virtually, but suddenly someone I can see face to face and just talk, even just for that relationship creation, that you are making it tangible for those people. And 98% of all of those time that I did like this, I don't want to say it blasted, but it really created that those people started to be more interested into what you are offering to them, what they are actually part of. Like, it just boosted that interest in them, and then it created other opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when it comes to this, then to summarize it, when you have a visitor coming in, usually for this category, when you're really close to them, but not really having a lot to comment, you probably won't be spending too much time in the office with them, but probably outside of it. So there might be even some frustration that you can't be with them because, you know, you're really close to them, but you can't be with them and you need to do it outside of your working time. So there might be some misalignment. The same goes for, when the visitor is coming, maybe there is somebody organizing his agenda, since there is somebody who is more competent or looking on this competence scale and taking care of him or her. And you can ask them to somehow, create this window of opportunity, like Kat was saying, like reach out to the other parts, to the other colleagues, and hey, is there this person coming in who is taking care of them? Can you put me somewhere on the agenda so that we have the opportunity to go at least for a coffee? There is a way that you are looking for a way how to connect. Mm-hmm. You are eager to connect, but you need to create the opportunity. It's not so straightforward. And now going to the last bits and pieces. Kate is already laughing a lot on the video.
There is that question in my head, like the audience is asking, so did she punch him or did she not?
So we are going for, and this might be one more small category. When you don't have this relationship, or the relationship is the opposite one, so the warmth is really like cold and disgusting, but there is a high competence, so it's somebody who is your superior or your manager or your second line or your close colleagues. So that would be the first category here. Have you had a visitor? Have you had to take care of someone who you really didn't like, who you disliked, but you know that he is or she has a huge impact over your work?
Hell yes.
How did it work, Kat? Is this the story with a punch? So I guess you couldn't punch him because there was this impact, right, over your work, over your job.
So, dear listeners, of course I didn't punch anyone. Why? This is business. So here comes the biggest struggle. So at that time, my position was manager, and I had 29 people reporting to me. And this particular person was my business manager. It wasn't just me having problems with this particular person, but my colleagues in another country had the same. And so the other managers decided that the better will be to fly us all in one country and have a face-to-face discussion. And I have to tell you, the one part I hated when I was a manager, the politics. And this is like, I still keep learning or finding where is that fine line when you are sort of allowed to show your emotions versus how professional you need to be with your poker face and everything needs to be put aside and you just sort of show your professionalism. And the worst part is that people can read my emotions on my face. So being in the room and our former leader of all three of us, he was sort of like showing me on his face like what I need to do because he could read me, that it's visible how I hate that person. And I had to practice even at the hotel room. Not like, where is the professionalism versus not to show that emotion of absolute disgust. And I had very big internal fight. And even after, like, the meeting ended up good for me, can't say, but still it's like, why would I, and you have this fight in you, why on earth would I then spend my private time to go for dinner with that person?
Mm-hmm.
But what's the difference suddenly between it's still your colleague versus what we were just discussing previously, right? Where suddenly you had no problem to spend your private time. But here you are literally elaborating, I don't want to spend any additional minute with that person because I'm literally going to vomit. Those were my internal feelings. It was so hard. But then you also, of course, thinking, is this part of the job, being the managers, that you sometimes have to do tasks you absolutely hate, don't like? Is it not? And that's when, at that particular time, I reach out to my mentors and I ask them, because they have to have tons of experiences like that, just to ask them for guidance. Because honestly, my inner feeling was, I want to vomit. I want to run home.
I remember we discussed as an emotion on one of our previous episodes, and I remember, Kat, you didn't say like you remember feeling disgust to any person, but I think you just forgot this one.
I forgot.
Yeah, and you can listen to it and have a proof.
Literally, as we are talking now, the story that. Those emotions, I'm just recalling them, like how I hated even to be in that room. It was the worst feeling and situation probably I had.
Yeah. So what you're saying here is that when somebody like this is coming, you are not eager to do anything for them. You are not eager to even meet them.
Correct.
If possible, if it's possible, you will try to avoid them in all the possible manners. You're spending the least amount of time with them if possible. Plus, there is still strong emotional vibe, which you are sort of trying to manage. So that's how you prepare for that. And if there is any afterwards activity, again, there is a possibility you're trying to avoid it. And it's possible, like if you're managing your visitor, you can still send them somewhere far away and not let them come, or you can make them a trip, whatsoever, without you sending them to cinema whatsoever. You just give them the ticket and send them in and whatever, and you don't care. So that's a way how to care, or you can give it as a job to someone else.
I really like it, and I want you to see this movie by yourself, please.
Yeah. You need to watch this. Go. Chop. So, and the last category is that there is low competence. They have no impact towards to you, and there is a huge distance. You don't really feel friends with them, or you don't feel any sort of connection with these people. So you have no clue who they are, what they are like, what they like to do even, and they are lost somewhere in the hierarchy, in the ladder, in the organization. Have you had any visit like that?
I haven't. But if something like that happened to me, I would first try to find out who they are, what they do, if they have any people working in the site you work, that they would be like business-wise closer to that person, and make sure that I would probably just delegate it if possible. But if not possible, if I don't know, I would just try to kind of like network with them before the business trip, just to find out like about them. But I really haven't had this kind of situation happen to me.
I had, it's so strange that suddenly our management reached out. So again, let's just put a little bit of overview. So all three of us, we work in an IT department, and you could count the women in just two hands. That's the rest were just guys.
Like 100 people.
Yeah. Just that, how many women
like
we were?
10 females and maybe like 100.
I was super happy. Anyhow, there was a VP coming, and suddenly the management reached out to us that that particular VP is very eager to support females and everything for women, and that they are now gathering all the women, all 10 of us, to have like a lunch, official lunch. And I was questioning it, like, why? I don't know her. Like, what that has to do that I'm a woman, that I need to have a lunch with this lady? Like, why? I picked this job because I love this job because of my skills. That has nothing to do with me being with me as a female. Like, why? But it ended up as an order.
Oh,
You have to go. Okay. So
Yeah. So there you go. So there are visitors, there are visits. When you will be pushed, you don't see the meaning. You would just want to get it done, sort of, you know, the mandatory stuff, so that you have clean hands, done it, never seen or hear about this person again, and there you go. So that can happen. That's the usual stuff, that there is something mandatory to do, and you just need to be over with it quickly and swiftly, so that you can get back to your work. That's something you can prepare for as well.
I will just put here one point. If you become once on a certain position, you go on a business trip, please don't do this to people.
I agree. At least put there a purpose.
Make it optional. Yeah, make it optional.
Optional or purpose, you know, make it purposeful, so that people understand you why it's happening. Good. So we went through a scale from, you know, like, this is highly friendly and high competent person, and until throughout the whole scale to the bottom, where you see that there is no connection towards you and no impact whatsoever. And you are on this scale somewhere in between. But there is also a possibility that the relationship, the warmth can evolve, or competence can evolve throughout the time and throughout the business trip as well. Have you had any occurrence when you had this really, really great person coming in, and it was a nasty person leaving out, or vice versa, a nasty person coming in, and we turned into best friends afterwards?
I will leave Kat talk about the worst one, but I have another one that it feels like we European women have certain kind of reputation in US, and when men come to East Europe, they feel like we're kind of like easy or something like this, which I think couldn't be farther from the truth. And they try to, you know, hit on you and try their luck, basically. So yeah, there was often times that I was like, I'm not definitely going for dinner with this person, even if they make me. So yeah, it can start as something neutral, let's say, and then end up like, I don't want to see this person at any point. Doesn't matter if it's during business hours or after.
Another story came to my mind. So I have two disgusting ones. One, it was my first corporate, and we were on a 3-day business trip, including evening. Of course, there was lots of drinking involved. And by the time I went to room, another colleague went with me, and similar to what just Baruch mentioned. He wanted to enter my room and he put a foot between the door and a door frame. I've never felt more scared as I at that particular time. And I was pushing the door, and as soon as he sort of took the foot away, I closed it, locked it, and I was like really shaken. And then the next day when I came home, I was telling it to my husband. And then also I told my boss, and thankfully I had really amazing manager. And of course, that's a behavior during business trip, which is absolutely not appropriate. So my manager raised a case and he had to come to apologize, but I couldn't even look at that person. And we were having a good relationship before, but afterwards, like, no more, no. I was so scared. So that was one. And the second one was when we had a visitor. We had business relationship, not a friendly, not like non-friendly, but just a business relationship. And then my colleagues came to me and and I could saw like on their face how disgusted they are. I'm like, guys, what's happening? What's wrong? And it was again dinner and beers. And the guy said, he just asked us to find him prostitutes. And we were like, excuse me, what? And what should I answer him? Like he's demanding that we find him prostitutes. I'm like, guys, you don't have to do anything. It's absolutely inappropriate behavior. You don't have to do anything. But I could really saw that even male colleagues were shaken by that request. So yeah, you really might end up with such a strange things happening, whether your visits comes to your place or you go to a business trip, that sometimes you might not even calculate with it or even thinking about it.
What would you do if somebody asked you directly this kind of request now?
Take out her notes with all those cards, and browse through those 50 of them.
You want the luxurious? You want the luxurious one? How much money you want to spend?
Any role play or stuff you're into?
Any fetish? Okay, so I have 3 to offer you, right? So again, I recalling back, right? I was much younger back then compared to now. Now my reaction would be literally like, dude, are you even serious? You do realize you're on a business trip. And not only you're harming now your relationship with me, I can laugh on this, or we can move it forward and I open an ethic ticket on you. Pick one. That would be my reaction now because of the experiences. But also, I tell you, ever since that colleague who put the foot on my door, every time I go on a business trip, I don't go alone. And if we had dinner or something, I always make sure someone is coming with me. I just don't want to stay alone, just to sort of protect myself.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not the colleague with the foot. So who's coming with you?
Yeah.
No.
That's going to be counterproductive. When it comes to the opposite side, building out the relationship, and I think that we heard a lot of stories about it. We've said a lot of stories that the business trip helps you with the relationship and they make you buddies, basically, or they build up the relationship here. It's natural for the relationship to develop throughout those face-to-face times. So the business trip in general helps you to convert people who you don't know and who are low on competence, whatever their competence is. They help you to build up the warmth so that you know the person better, and you can develop the deeper relationship with them, meaningful. And you end up buddies even when they leave the company, right, Baruch and Katka? And you still have some sort of connection with them even afterwards. So you end up connected to them in a way.
Let's end it with a positive story. So, Julie. So we had in the company a course where you are meeting with your colleagues from China and you have these conversations with them in English to help them with the speaking in English. And I did it a couple times, and I've met this beautiful person. His name is Jue. He is the non-typical Chinese person because he literally breaking any stereotyping, etc. Even Baruch is so confused that how come this person keeps traveling, and like really any stereotyping that you have, he is not fulfilling, but really nice person. And then we of course connected through like social media, so we keep in touch almost on a daily basis. And what happened, he moved to Europe and he was writing me, Kat, I'm coming to Vienna. And I was like, dude, if you're in Vienna, I'm coming to Vienna. I'm like, hello. And we packed my husband, Baruch, and we've met. We had coffee. He brought his girlfriend, and I could never even imagine that I would meet this person face to face. It was just the loveliest thing ever. And it just even further deepened our relationship. So it was just really, really beautiful, beautiful thing.
It was a really nice time. Yes.
And I think that's everything for today. We've talked about the whole scale, about the various types of business visitors and how to take care of them. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to us. We have still our email, corporatebias@yahoo.com. Feel free to email us with any weird story you had. You can share it with us. We will share it online.
With that said, 수고하셨습니다.
Bye-bye.
Chatty, bye.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.